Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Welcome back, lovely listeners, to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. I'm your host, Brittany Duncan, and today we're diving into the aromatic world of spices and herbs. Are you tired of cooking the same old recipes? Join me and let's revolutionize our cooking game with these tips on using spices and herbs in your culinary creations. Grab your apron, dust off those spice jars, and let's get started. Spices and herbs are underused in many households. Listen, I've been there, with the mismatched spice jars and spices that are God knows how old. Spoiler alert, most spices have a shelf life of 2 years but are best used within their first 10 months of use. Another way I think spices are underrated is by using the same old spices over and over again. I love the staple spices, think herbs like basil, thyme, and rosemary, and common spices like cumin, paprika, and cinnamon. These form the foundations of many dishes, but I've also found so many spices and spice blends over the years that have really taken my love of cooking to the next level. Spice blends aren't just for curries. You can use blends from everything from cookies to grilled meats and even popcorn. One of my favorite companies to buy spice blends from was introduced to me by my mom when she gifted me Penzeys Spices Mural of Flavor, amazing on fish, salad dressings, chicken, and other things, and Arizona Dreaming, which is my favorite for seasoning potatoes, eggs, pork, and more. You can purchase spice blends like these, or you can dabble with creating your own. Another version of this is herb-infused oils and vinegars. I'm sure some of you have gotten hooked on the Trader Joe's chili onion crunch. Basically what that is olive oil, dried onion, dried garlic, and some chili flakes. It's going to give you the same result. Add your spices to a jar, then heat up some olive oil in a saucepan, pour that warm oil over the spices, and let it sit. The longer it sits, the more infused that flavor will be, and then you can just top it up with olive oil as needed as you go through it. Some of my other favorites are rosemary-infused oil, garlic-infused, or a good infused vinegar. Sometimes I'll use my pickling liquid as an additive for recipes, just for that layer of flavor. If you haven't watched it yet, I highly recommend the Netflix documentary with Chef Samin Nosrat, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, to learn about the elements of flavor and how each is used. Something fascinating I learned is that often when you think something needs salt, it actually needs acid. Next, let's talk about quality, because like everything, quality matters, and good quality is better than more volume. I have an amazing store here in Boise called Roots Zero Waste Market that has the most amazing spices. They are fresh and full of a depth of flavor that I don't find elsewhere. I know that isn't an option for everyone if where you live doesn't offer it, but check around and see. Something I love about Roots is that I can get small amounts of spices and replace them frequently, so the flavor I get is always top tier. Brands like Penzeys are also top quality, and I've linked an article in the show notes for other spice shops and sources that Bon Appetit recommends, although I have not tried them personally. Whole versus ground, fresh versus dried. These are great questions, and my answer would be, it depends. High-quality whole spices ground right before using are going to give you the maximum flavor quality. But I'll admit it, I opt for a high-quality ground spice for the convenience factor, and I replace it often for that maximum freshness. Where I don't cut corners is with fresh herbs, although many chefs will tell you that dry herbs are stronger, which is true. But the flavor is completely different. Fresh basil versus dried basil do not compare, in my opinion. There are also things that you can do with fresh basil that you can't with dried. Think caprese salad. I try to have fresh herbs all year round, whether that's in my thriving herb garden with lots of options in the summer, or my small pot of basil in the windowsill in the winter. You can also always find fresh cilantro and flat leaf parsley in my fridge pretty much at all times. Top tip on keeping your cilantro and parsley fresh in the refrigerator: wash your bunches and then cut off the bottom 1/4 inch of the stem. Place the herbs in a water glass with the stem submerged, and then place a Ziploc bag over the herbs upside down. And then you can just replace the water as needed, and these herbs will last for weeks like this. On the note of storing herbs, let's talk about storing spices. Those Pinterest perfect spice collections are not only about aesthetics. Okay, maybe they are, but with the right containers, they also offer proper storage. You want your spices to be in airtight containers, out of direct sunlight or heat. I did the thing, bought the cute jars and labels for spice storage, and I learned that they not only made me happy to look at them, but I actually use them more because I can see them all at once and their beauty inspires me in the kitchen. Don't underestimate this. Anything that gets you excited about cooking delicious and high quality food is worth doing and investing your time and money on. Mostly, I want you to embrace flavor in your kitchen. Don't be afraid to try new spices in your go-to chicken dish. Try your hand at making your own salad dressing from scratch. Make a compound butter with fresh herbs for your next dinner party. It's super simple to do and adds a level of sophistication to your meal. Try toasting your spices before using them to see how that changes their flavor profile. Start creating marinades and enjoy the depth of flavor that they bring. There are endless possibilities when it comes to spices. And when you think about it, that's what separates one culture's food from another. A chicken cooked in France is worlds different than a chicken cooked in Peru. Fish in Colombia is dipping with citrus notes and fresh cilantro, while fish in Charleston, South Carolina takes on a low country flavor profile that is completely different. People who love food love flavor and the diversity of flavor. What gives us that diversity of flavor is spices and herbs along with salt, fat, acid, and heat. Spice up your life and your kitchen by upping your spice game. I know you won't regret it. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.